Hello and welcome to Wagner's Tech Talk. Today we're going to take a look at the arcade console 3188 in 1. That's right, it's got 3,188 games all pre-installed and ready to go. Huge thank you to Kafago for sending this unit for review. In this video we're going to unbox it and of course play some games. So let's check it out right now. Let's take a look at the specifications of the unit. It has an H3 quad-core 1.5 GHz CPU. The GPU is a Mali 450 MP3. It has 2 GB of DDR3 RAM. It's got 3,188 games pre-installed. You have the capability of playing 2-player games with the built-in dual joysticks and button set. It also has HDMI and VGA output, as well as 2 USB ports. Let's go ahead and unbox the game station. This unit was shipped from China and took probably about a week and a half to arrive. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Here's the box. Nothing spectacular. Professional design, reliable quality, flexible configuration, all that fun stuff. We'll go ahead and open it up. And first off, we have this 10-foot long HDMI cable, which will let you sit pretty far away from the TV. The manual is not so good. Tells you very little. Here's the power cable, and here is a USB Type A to USB Type A cable. In my testing, it didn't appear that the game station could utilize that. There's also a VGA to VGA male cable. A couple extra buttons, just in case you wear yours out. And then there is a power adapter. Alright, so now let's take a look at the game station itself. We'll go ahead and take it out of the box here so you can get a better look at it. And here it is. It's got a very nice design. The buttons feel pretty good, fairly responsive. There are some plastic covers on the deck and the buttons that you'll have to remove. On the back side we have the 12-volt power in, your HDMI output to your TV or a monitor. And then you also have VGA output as well, using the male-to-male adapter. You have your audio output, your volume control, a settings button, and over on the far right, 2 USB ports. On the far left, here's your power switch. That's where you'll turn it on and off. Alright, so I'll go ahead and plug it up. And plug in the HDMI cable to my lapel monitor. Go ahead and plug up the monitor. And we'll go ahead and turn on the unit and check it out. And I'll go ahead and turn the light switch off so you can see what it looks like in the dark. It looks pretty cool. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the settings. If you press the settings button on the very back of the unit, you'll hear this wonderful background music that I'm going to shut off. In the user key mappings, I had no luck with this option whatsoever. Maybe you'll figure something out that I couldn't. Under the game settings, if you go down through here, there's a few options, most of which are not documented, and I could not find the answers to what some of these do. The smooth on, I did figure out, which I'll show you in a little bit. For the external keypad option, I did try 2 external controllers. None of them worked for me. I did have better luck when I went into the game settings here. And let's say, for instance, you want to go in and add your favorite games to your game list. You can do that, and it moves to the top of the game list, whichever games that you select. So you just go in here and select it, and then press the A button on any games you want to add to your favorites list. Very cool. You can press B to edit your game list. So if you want to toggle or hide any of the games that are in the list, you can press A on each of those, which may actually come in very handy if you have small kids. When we get to the gameplay, I'll show you something that might surprise you. Alright, here you can add a password in the bookkeeping, the language settings, app module. I couldn't figure out what this did whatsoever. You can save your settings, you can do a factory settings. I'm going to go ahead and save and exit and press yes, and the machine reboots. Very quickly, we're just going to go ahead and open up the unit so you can see what it looks like on the inside in case you're interested. So you just remove the 3 screws on the front and then open it up. This is what the controller looks like on the bottom side, and here's the PCB that's running the entire game unit itself. Alright, we'll kick off the gameplay with a classic arcade game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Here, pay close attention to when the turtle moves left and right and the screen scrolls. I want to point something out to you. And I'll pause the frame here so you can see there is indeed some screen tearing going on. A lot of games on here that side scroll quite a bit, you will see some screen tearing, so that's something I wanted to make you aware of. You can smooth it out by hitting the smooth on in the settings, and it seemed to be a lot better after doing that for this game, but not in other games. And I'm going to leave smoothing turned on throughout the rest of this video. It does smooth out the pixels so it doesn't look as pixelated, so if you like the pixelated look, then you may want to leave that option off. But the game is still very much enjoyable and fun to play. Now we'll check out The Simpsons. This is the arcade version, and again, when he side scrolls, you'll notice a little bit of that screen tearing still, and I do have it in the smoothing mode. I did want to show the frames per second in the upper right, but unfortunately there's no option in the settings to be able to do that. Alright, so now let's move on to a classic Time Pilot 84. This is a game I used to play quite a bit in the arcade, and it plays very well on the game station. And there is a lot of side-scrolling and up and down scrolling, and it doesn't look so bad here. Now we'll move on to another game, Time Pilot. This is the original Time Pilot. When I was in my early 20s, I actually owned one of these, the actual arcade games, and played the heck out of it. So this is one I can show you all the different levels. So I'm going to go ahead and do that very quickly. Just show you a few segments of each of the levels until we get to the end. So we'll shoot up some helicopters with some guided missiles. And then we'll move on to some jet fighters. Again with the guided missiles. And then after that, you're fighting UFOs. And this is a very difficult level. A lot of fun. Hard to master. Yeah, I still got it. Alright, now on to a game I have not mastered, and that's the King of Fighters 02. It's a fun game. You'll see a little bit of scrolling here. Everything looks fine here as far as I can tell. Gameplay is very good. There are a ton of King of Fighter type games on the unit, so if you're a King of Fighters fan, you will very much enjoy it. And with so many games on this machine, it's impossible to show you everything, so I'm just picking out a few things that I think you'd be interested in seeing, a few issues that I've identified while playing them. This game played very well, in my opinion. I don't recall playing it in the arcades, so I'm showing you something I'm very unfamiliar with. However, it does look like it's playing very well. I do recall playing the original Double Dragon, not the Double Dragon Plus, and it was a lot of fun. Now let's move on to a game that I do recall very well, and hopefully you do as well. Galaga. This is the arcade version of Galaga. And I still have the smoothing on, so it's not showing any of the pixelation, but it plays very well. There is one minor issue, and that is some of the samples are missing, such as when your ship gets destroyed, you should hear an explosion, and you don't. Alright, so I'm going to show you the search feature. If we go in here, I'm going to just type MS for Miss Pac-Man, and we'll go ahead and load up Miss Pac-Man. This game played very well. I didn't have any issues with this, and I thought I would actually with the 8-way joystick, but no, it played very good. I was able to play a rather long game of Miss Pac-Man, and normally I do have a problem playing 4-way games with an 8-way joystick, but I was impressed. Played well. Alright, now we're going to move on to the PS1, playing Tekken 3. I did notice a little slowdown here in the narration.
Fight.
The gameplay itself seemed rather fluid. Again, I can't show you the frames per second. I will put a link down below to a full list of all the games that are on this machine if you're interested. That way you can check it out and see if the games that you're looking for are actually pre-installed on the machine for you.
Round 2. Fight.
Very much fun to play.
You win.
Earlier I showed you how to hide and unhide games. The reason for that is for games such as this one, Bubble 2002. It starts out, it's a very cute game, lots of fun to play. And if you're really good at it, you're going to get some interesting surprises, which might be surprises that you may not want your kids seeing. I removed the sequence here as to not offend anybody, but I do want to let you know there is some adult material in this game. Alright, so let's take one last look at another game, Street Fighter 2. In this one, I'm going to be playing a 2-player game with both my left and my right hand. And we're going to go in here and we'll go ahead and select the Zangief and Blanca, and we'll play some Street Fighter 2. And as you can tell, it plays very well. No problems here. So yeah, you'll have a lot of great 2-player fun with this unit. So let's take a look at the pros and cons of this machine. It does have 3,188 games. There are a number of duplicates, but it's still a pretty decent list. There is 2-player gameplay. It does support HDMI and VGA output, though I do have something more to add to the VGA output in the next section. There is a speaker built into the unit, which is nice if you want to have the audio routed to the game unit itself. It is a single speaker, it's not stereo, so that could be a con depending on your perspective. You can hide inappropriate games in your game list. You can add your own favorite games to your list, and you can save and load the game state, and that did work. However, you can only save or load one single game state per game. And now we'll move on to the cons, and there are a few of them. The USB connection to a PC or Raspberry Pi 4 did not work for me at all. This is something that was mentioned on the website. There is screen tearing on many side-scrolling games, and the performance on most games is okay, but the PS1 seemed to struggle at times. There are some adult-oriented games, and many game names in the list are spelled incorrectly, which is typical of these Chinese units. The manual is pretty much useless, so don't even bother with that. I mean, you're welcome to try, but I couldn't make sense out of it. Button customization does not seem to work, at least not for me. And sadly, you won't automatically save your high scores, so Every time you restart the game, the high score counter gets reset. You can save the game state with your high score, but you have to come back into the game and reload it manually, which is kind of a pain. The VGA output video signal did work, but there was audio crackling coming from the internal speaker, and I couldn't turn it off. If I turned the volume down, it still crackled, so that's a con as well. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please click the like button. If you want to see more from Wagner's Tech Talk, please click the subscribe. And with that, I shall talk to you very soon.